are back. The time is now.
Everybody, welcome to Nufc Talk TV with myself, the Geordie Yam Yam, and the Mighty Win. Well, it's the morning after the night before.
After the night before.
Like I say, not had much sleep. The adrenaline in me yesterday was phenomenal. 3 o'clock this morning, I'm still trying to see the game in my head. Not seeing the replays or anything yet, and I certainly want to watch some of the match. Well, anyway, we've got a bit of news to talk to, but I suppose
we've got some words of wisdom from Alan McKenzie, who put this in the forum, and I thought it was fantastic, which he put in before the match, actually. Bring on the thunder right from the start. Spirit and passion, gusto and heart. The fans will be with you, voices aloud. Into them, Geordies, make us all proud. Boosh.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah,
it was exactly what the crowd did yesterday. What a crowd it was.
Yeah, it was. It was fantastic atmosphere. Like I say, I had the build-up where me and Chris were doing the chat, and because obviously I get the stream from America, so it's silent for me. I don't get any sound, and I just thought, you know what, I'm just going to put the radio on, and I'd got the radio in my ear just for about 5 minutes before the match started, just to listen to the crowd, and wow, it was absolutely phenomenal. I have got a clip of the atmosphere to show you guys in a minute. So before we get into today's show, I suppose we better do the housework and just crack on from there, I suppose. So welcome to everybody that's watching across all of the platforms. Thanks to all the mods working tirelessly in the background. Again, very rarely thanked. So I just wanted to, again, highlight the fact that they do a great job. Again, keep it respectful, guys, in the chat. Again, I see there's a few Liverpool fans in there. And again, it's a platform for everybody. We don't mind what colour shirt you are, but be respectful. There's a lot of obviously passion and a lot of feelings still out there, so you are going to get a little bit of banter, but keep it friendly. Don't forget, please, while you're on the show, hit that like button. It's been massive. The support that you've given us over the last few weeks has been great, and please keep it going because that just gets us further to other NUFC supporters. Subscribe, again, it's totally free. Hit that bell for future content because, like I say, we do 7 days a week stuff. Very rarely do we have a day off on this channel, especially this lad by the side of me. Him and Chris work a lot of things, and obviously we've got RCM, which is our sister channel, which literally does a lot of the Premier League stuff. And we've also got 90s Mags, which gives you a different context, a different panel to get other things and other views and opinions from. So again, go and watch those and help them along. And obviously, if you want to support us, you can become a member. It's a small fee monthly, give different levels to choose from. You can take your pick from there. There's also a chance, if you want to, you can come on the Prediction League. It's a £5 entry fee. It's open to everybody, but there's 2 games gone now, but there's still plenty of time to catch up. There's different points. You get the end of the season by predicting the Newcastle scores. If you're within the top 6, then you get something back, a lot more than you do with your 5 entry fee. Again, if you've got a question for me or Win, then try and put a Q in front of it. Nothing is guaranteed, guys. Remember that. There's lots of people in the chat, as always. So if you put a Q in front of it, it does highlight it. But if you want to guarantee it, then use the $sign. Throw us a Talk TV super chat, and that will guarantee that message read out. Anybody that becomes a member or anybody that gifts memberships out there will be highlighted and thanked as we go. So anyway, again, great game yesterday. You were there live, filling yourself full of the joys of Newcastle and what it brings you under the floodlights. Because for me, it's a totally different atmosphere under floodlights at St James's Park.
I'll show you what it brings you.
Oh, crikey! It's a bit early in the day for that, lad. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Is this from your camera Don't forget to go on the Win Share page because then it's easy. Or you can put it up on the what's name. There you go.
Why is that not working now?
I don't know. There you go. Look at that. It is packed to the rafters. And again, if nobody's seen it, Amrit, our roaming reporter, was out and about after the game, doing lots of interviews post match with a lot of the fans. A couple of lads come in from Montenegro. A couple of lads come from Sweden. Literally, this was their first game to watch, and obviously the Swedish lad was a little bit miffed, if you like, because one of his Swedes wasn't there. And again, lots of finger pointing has gone his way, but the atmosphere at St James's Park last night was fantastic. And an interesting concept, I suppose. I mean, we will come to the players' scores right at the end, guys, so keep with us. Lots of talk and chatter about Eddie Howe's decision making at times, and again, I criticised and critiqued some of the stuff that I saw yesterday, especially with making changes, maybe waiting a little bit too long at times to make those changes. Couple of things that happened during the game that you have to question when you've got it back to 2-2. Why go and try and get the winner? Which seems to be now, Eddie's philosophy. And if you look at it from the point of view that I'm trying to bring here, and again, this is just my opinion, but it looked very much like, for me, that when you are in the 110th minute of a game, again, where the extra 11 minutes came from, God only knows.
It's Liverpool, man.
Yeah, exactly. But I got nothing but admiration for a team down to 10 men for 45 minutes. 2-0 down.
Minutes.
Well, 56 minutes if you include the injury time.
An hour nearly.
I'm going to say, yeah. But make it back 2-2, right? In the 88th minute, we get the equaliser. But then still want the win. They still go forward with this 4-3-2 system rather than just shutting up shop. They still believe that they can go and win it. And again, in the 110th minute, because we've got lots of bodies upfield looking for that winner, Liverpool do what Liverpool do really well. I mean, 13 successful passes down that right-hand channel. A move, again, the only time where that extra body in the 56 minutes, as you've just said, actually counted was the last kick of the game, more or less, where young Rio, 16-year-old lad from Liverpool, comes on and gets the winner, which seemed to completely floor the lads. You could tell, But I have got nothing but admiration for the will, the want, the attitude of every single player on the field, even though some of them, as I said yesterday, didn't give themselves a massive limelight. I called it the diagonal three, going from right back to left midfield, seemed to be a little bit non-existent for me, and create our own problems at times. And I go on to say, again, we'll get into all the nitty-gritty, but Kieran Trippier, giving the ball away far too many times for me, throwing the ball into a dangerous area. That was their first goal. You know what I mean? Things like that changes the game, especially when, as we saw. We
were dominant then as well. It was
absolutely. And as daft as it looks, and this is something I wanted to say to you, I watched Craig Hope. I watched it this morning. I didn't get a chance last night. But Craig Hope hits on a good point. Isn't it funny how with the 11 players we never look like scoring, and yet with 10 players we look like we could score at any moment in time. It is so different the way Eddie Howe set those players up in that second 45 minutes, 56 minutes, to change the mentality.
Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, we've got this in from Steve. Win. I hope you're happy waiting till the end of the window. Happy clappers are ruining this club.
Yeah, I don't
I
know
think
where Steve's coming
I
from.
think you'll need to elaborate on that, Steve, because this happy clapper was very happy last night. There was obviously a few things I wasn't happy about, but overall, nothing the matter with that team that a striker wouldn't put right. And that's nobody's fault but one person.
Uh,
And maybe by the end of the window,
Another one
Steve,
here.
if he's still here, then I believe he'll pull a black and white shirt on again. A lot of people will not be happy to see it, but he's only got to start putting a few goals in the onion bag, and it'll all be forgotten. He'll never be regarded the same again, no doubt about that. But if we can get another season out of him,
Yeah, Mr. Batty Red here. If you question tactics and your praise of it from Howe, if you think dominating a game for 37 plus minutes of playing time, the lowest since 2010. Now, listen, at the end of the day, right?
I'm not sure where that's coming from either.
No, again, I haven't had a chance to have a look at the game back. And when you're commentating on the game does seem a bit different. But there's a couple of points that he's made there, the praise of it. When Liverpool were 2-0 up, there was lots of time where Kirkes especially, he was spoken to by the referee. And I mean, obviously, as Mr. Bate Red is obviously a Liverpool fan, it works both ways, mate. You know what I mean? When you were 2-0 up, it was nice to see Liverpool taking the time. None of our players were spoken to, by the way, just a Liverpool player. So, again, you've got to ask yourself, who was the one, when you talk about tactics, that was trying to delay play? How many fouls did Liverpool get? And how many fouls did Newcastle get? Who was trying to spoil the game last night? Just think about the words that you've stated there, and if you do need to go and have a look at the game back, please do, because I've got some highlights for you to have a look at in a minute. We got one red card, and there should have been at least two for Liverpool if it was, if it was a fair game. So let's see where we are. NUFC Truth got a question here. Gary, I have one question. I give the lad every congratulations for their fight bit. Please tell me why Pope won't dive and save 2 goals. He could have stopped. Sorry, he's 6'6". His reach should save Rio's goal. Now, listen, I was looking at a lot of chat last night when we came off the air live, gone 11 o'clock. I was buzzing, the adrenaline was flowing, and I wanted to have a look at pre-match comments in the chat, and I wanted to look at post-match comments in the chat. So, as you've highlighted Pope, there was a lot of people questioning Pope not actually getting or trying to get the goals. Now, let's just have a look at where we are here. First goal, it's thrown in. It's won back by it's thrown in by Trippier. It's won back by Gakpo, who gives himself a half a yard. Who then takes a shot. It was blocked, the first shot, rebounds to him. So Pope is on the verge of going. So he's planted his feet and he's going. Then there's a toe poke square which runs beautifully to Gravenberch, who's now, all he's got to do is give himself half a yard to get a shot off. Bruno tries to close the space. And again, there was criticism towards Bruno. Could he have done better? I mean, it's all, it's hypothetical. So at this point, what Pope is expecting Gravenberch to do is take a shot again, shape the ball to the far post. Because again, you look at the position, your right side, or if you're looking at the goal, your left side of the penalty area. So all players then try and shape the ball with the instep to try and bend it around the keeper's reach to get it into that far post. So in your mind as a keeper, and again, I've never been a keeper, so I'm only talking hypothetical here, but you would always take half a step to your left to close that space. That's just natural instinct because that's what you're anticipating. What he didn't anticipate, which was very clever from Gravenberch, was a shot that goes through Bruno's legs It takes a slight deflection from Fabian Schär, and it goes in off the post for the first goal. Now, as luck has it, again, you've got to say to yourself, in a red shirt, if that was Newcastle, it would have hit the post and come out. That's how we are at the moment. It just seems as though luck is very much not on our side. And when you are the reigning champions, you can never take anything away from Liverpool because they fight to the last second and they will always try and get that goal. And they'd been dominated. And what they go and do is show you the reasons why they are champions, because they'll take a shot when you're not expecting it. And it did unbalance Nick Pope. But does he get the blame for that? I don't think so.
No.
I just think he anticipates it going to the other side. And unfortunately, it's a shot that goes through bodies. You're unsighted till the last minute. And again, slight deflection that also takes it away, but it also puts the right spin on the ball. So when it contacts the post, it's shaping towards the goal. So again, I think it's very harsh to give Pope any blame for that one. The second goal, I think it was a well-struck goal from Ekitike. And again, it was a sidestep, again, shaped away from the keeper because he's hit it with the right instep, so it's going away from the keeper. And again, perfect placement because, again, comes in off the post. So when you look at the finishes from the two goals that Liverpool set up, then, does Pope have a chance of saving it? Well, I don't think he does. And you talk about Rio's finish at the end. Now, again, what you've got to anticipate is positioning, right? So this is how I look at all of this when it comes to goalkeepers' positioning. And the ball gets played 13 times down that right-hand channel. It's drilled in across towards Szoboszlai, who is penalty spot. So what you get as a goalkeeper is to try and become central to that penalty spot. So you are planted and you are going left and right. So what happens then? Szoboszlai, again, creates the goal just through a little bit of cleverness, if you like. He pulls Tino away from Rio because Tino is screaming at Elanga to try and get back. Tino then has to make a decision. He's the one who's central. He's got the chance of hurting us. I'll move forward. Szoboszlai, dummies, it runs through to Rio. So what happens is then Pope has to step to his right. To try and close that space off. And by throwing your weight to your right-hand side, what Rio does, very clever for a 16-year-old, is shape it to the far post. It's very difficult for a keeper to go right and then spring left. Your balance is all over the place. Again, I'm not saying he couldn't have at least attempted it, but sometimes when you are throwing yourself one way, and again, was he anticipating Rio to take a touch? Potentially. He planted his feet. You know what I mean?
Well, don't forget, it was a quality dummy.
It was fantastic.
From Szoboszlai.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. That's
that straight away knocked them off balance. Yeah, I just want to address a couple of these. Steve's back in. Win, you're happy to wait until the end of the window, and I have consistently said we needed players in by the start of the season. We're 5 points behind already with no sign of a striker coming in. Okay, well, let's address that first. 5 points behind. We've got 1 point from the first two games. Aston Villa away and Liverpool at home. If it had been the other way around, if we'd got beat off Aston Villa, bear in mind, as you've said, we haven't got a striker. If we got beat off Aston Villa and we got a point at home off Liverpool, that wouldn't have been such a bad start. So we've got the same points as we would have had then. And then you go on to say, when you're happy to wait until... the next one. When you continually back the club, when you know we have needed a striker for months on end, we now need 2 strikers and you still back the club until the end of the window. I've never backed the club at all. I've said the club is absolutely a shambles. The hierarchy above Eddie Howe is a total, utter shambles. So I've never backed the club in that respect.
Just got some breaking news, Win, just while you're setting up the next one. According to sources in Juventus, this has come from Ben Jacobs. Sources in Juventus say that Juventus have raised Vlahovic as a potential replacement for Liverpool target Alexander Isak. Juve are willing to accept offers of around 30 million in order to get the Serbian striker off their wage bill following the arrival of Jonathan David. As it stands, Newcastle are not planning to proceed. Also unclear if Vlahovic would be open to a move to St James's Park. Newcastle remain keen on Johan Wissa and set to make a second bid for Jurgen Strand-Larsen, even though Wolves insist they don't wish to sell. So again, something that has come, sorry, that's a bit small on the screen, guys. Something that's come in from Ben Jacobs as we speak. He's stating there
So
that...
no news is no news.
No, well, exactly. It's just
Vlahovic, Juventus have said Vlahovic is available and Newcastle aren't interested.
Yeah.
Which is stupid to me, by the way, because I would have Vlahovic in a heartbeat.
Yeah, so would I. I mean, for £30 million as well.
Yeah.
If you're planning on throwing 50 million,
you've got a lot of wages to pay. To be fair, but
yeah, you have. I agree with that. But I mean, at the end of the day, you have also got to ask yourself, if you are getting that stuff through the door, 30 million euros, 26.5 million quid for a player that has got the quality and knows where the net is. It does surprise me that we don't have a go even further up the field. So another player that seems to have come to mind while we're talking on players. It seems as though this is
actually Vlahovic is only 25. I thought
25. No, he's only a kid.
27.
No. He's still got his better years in front of him, mate. To be fair,
yeah.
I was just looking at the post this morning and what's out there, and according to Goal, and this is a lad that I like, Artem Dovbyk. Again, he's a bit of an older player, but I think he's a good player, a good prospect. Newcastle could swoop for Roma's Artem Dovbyk, according to Goal, after facing struggles in their pursuit for Jurgen Strand-Larsen and Johan Wissa. Again, it's all hypothetical. There's no actual link to him, but that's where Newcastle go, isn't it? It's not in the press. It could be a potential one through the side door, if you like. I don't think anybody likes her up the back door these days. Striker could leave Roma. Magpie's still searching for a new forward. So again, there's another one that's came through. And interesting to see this morning. And again, no real emergence from this. But Morgan Rogers seems to be, 23-year-old, according to Team Talk. Yeah, again, I don't know if Aston Villa.
Yes. I'm not quite sure where he fits in, though.
Well, again,
except for the fact that with the injuries now that.
Well, you've got to ask yourself: has Barnes seen his best at Newcastle? Yeah, because 2 games now, he has been well below par.
Been dog, yeah.
So you've got to question, and this is 17 hours ago, so it's fresh. And
also Villa are interested in Barnes.
Yeah, absolutely. So it does make you wonder.
That would make a bit of sense, but...
So this is what it states, right? Team Talk reported that Aston Villa might, and I'll highlight might, potentially offload Morgan Rogers due to PSR concerns. The 23-year-old English winger could become a potential option for Newcastle United as the club is actively seeking forwards replacements. In light of the possible departure of Alexander Isak to Liverpool, Aston Villa's PSR issues have placed Morgan Rogers on Newcastle's radar as they strive to strengthen their attacking options amid ongoing difficulties in securing other striker targets. Rogers' contract with Aston Villa is valid to 2030, and his market value is estimated on Transfer Market to be £55 million. It's going to be nowhere near that. You know that. It's going to be up on the 75 mark. Besides Newcastle, several Premier League clubs, including Chelsea and Tottenham, have also been recently associated with the player. So again, lots of rumours out there for different players. 16 hours again, Johan Wissa is on the thing. Nicholas Jackson, 17 hours ago. And again, I thought he'd already agreed to go elsewhere now. Yeah. So I don't know. It's really weird because, like I say, where I get the news from, we're linked with so many different players. Alexis Desailly, that's another one that seemed to come out of nowhere a day ago. The same as when I was talking the other day about Aka. What's it? Is it Aka?
Nathan Aki.
Aki, that's the one. And again, could be a potential coming our way. And again, people were saying, why are they actively looking?
The only way we're going to get Nathan Aki is if they get Livramento.
Yeah, that's what worries me though, mate.
And
it makes you wonder.
Worries me as well.
It makes you wonder where that rumour has come from. We've known the interest from Tino Livramento for a long time. So where has the Aki move come from? Is that somebody's assumption? Is there potential? Because, obviously he's not getting many game time now, many minutes. So there is potential out there. But I don't know. Have
you got the Bruno clip from last night?
I have.
The reason I'm asking it because Dr. Omar is in the building and he said we should have deployed the dog arts after we went 2-2. Even Bruno said the same thing, that we should have made fouls and managed the game better at the end.
Yeah, well, that's what I said. It was strange. I'm gonna ask you the question, and I want to ask everybody in the chat, right? Is a point enough? Because at the end of the day, you've lost a point where we look like potentially we could have got all three. So as that mindset from Eddie Howe changed, the philosophy of a draw these days goes out the window when there's a potential of you going and winning the game. And at the time, Liverpool were on the back foot. When we had those repetitive corners right at the death, you could see there was a lot of, weary legs on that pitch, don't get me wrong. But there was still a lot of passion and a lot of drive and a lot of want to win that game going forward. Eddie Howe didn't want to change anything. Eddie Howe just kept on saying, keep going, lads. Unfortunately, the 11 minutes, I think, killed us in the end.
I'm not sure if Eddie had said anything, whether they would have took any notice. I
totally agree.
I think they had the bit between their teeth and they were...
Yeah.
They were going for it.
So this is the video that you've sent me. I'm hoping this is the one, because I know that there's one video that I've seen with Bruno where he's just talking about Anthony Gordon. So we'll just have a listen to this. Hopefully, let me just check, because sometimes my system doesn't want to let me play sound. So I'm hoping you can hear this, guys.
There was a lot of emotion attached. There was a lot of noise. We obviously know what everybody is talking about right now if you're a Newcastle fan. With Anthony Gordon, did it just kind of tip over a little bit? Those emotions get the better of him?
Yeah, he want to play. I think he want to play the ball. I think he called me later. I have not seen the video back. I don't know if it was for red card, but they have seen. So I think he want to help too much. I cannot say anything because I have not seen the video, to be honest with you. But yeah, I think sometimes you are so excited to play, you make some mistakes. This already happened to me, so we are with Gori for this moment.
So Eddie, your first home game of the season ends in a cruel defeat. Just what is the emotions like after that one?
Yeah, tough one, tough game. I thought we played really well today. I thought we were really good in the first half. Really good in the second half, albeit in a different way. But yeah, really tough ending to the second half, both beginning, and end, and conceding 2 goals. But it was out of context for the game, really, because they didn't really create too many chances.
You found yourselves 2-0 down with 10 men, but just how proud are you of the team for the response to get back to 2-2, albeit losing so narrowly at the end?
Yeah, the response to that moment's huge. You can't underestimate the challenge that we faced in that moment, and yeah, we got the first goal. That gave us real belief. I thought we dominated the second half, really. We put a lot of balls into their box. We were quite direct, which we had to be with set plays, and kept asking questions of their backline. And yeah, we were still pushing at the end to desperately try and get something from the match, which I felt we deserved, but it wasn't to be, and we have to reflect on what we could have done better. So yeah, that's always the process we're in.
It was Bruno who pulled the goal back for yourselves in the second half. Just how pleased were you with the team's response after conceding in the opening minute of the restart? Yeah,
I mean, it sucked the life out of us, really, in the sense that you go into the half with a different plan. We're down to 10 men, we're 1-0 down, and then we concede so early. It would have been easily then for the game to get away from us quite quickly, but players regrouped. The scoring that goal was crucial so soon, gave us renewed hope and belief, and of course then we get the second, and we're almost chasing to try and win the game, which is credit to the players' mindsets. But yeah, I need to see the 3 goals we conceded today, because we're disappointed with that, because we kept them relatively quiet. They didn't have too many chances or threaten our goal, really.
Overall, do you feel you can take quite a lot of positives despite the loss?
I think we have to. I think we have to reflect on everything that we did well, especially in that first half where it was even numbers and we were front foot, aggressive, dynamic, and we created chances to score. I think there was a period around maybe the half-hour mark where it looked like we were going to score, but it wasn't to be. And goals always change games.
You will be without Anthony Gordon for the next few games after his red card. Just how big of a blow is that going to be for your side?
Yeah, it's a massive blow. I think it's whenever you lose your creative players, attacking players, it's a tough pill to take, and I think especially in our position currently we don't have an abundance of them. He's going to certainly be a big miss, but we have to adapt and overcome that.
Sandro Tonali and Joe Linton, they were also withdrawn in the second half. What are the severities of their injuries?
Yeah, don't look great. I mean, Sandy's is a shoulder problem. Joe went down immediately, I think, with an adductor problem. So, yeah, 2 massive players for us. To see them leave the pitch in pain and with injuries was desperately disappointing. Players that came on did very well, but certainly leaves us a bit weaker. Yeah,
you mentioned the players that came on, Jacob Ramsey, Malik Thiaw, they made their debuts today. What were your thoughts on their displays after kind of being thrown into a difficult scenario at that time? Yeah,
I thought they did well, because you've got to pick the speed of the game up. We were a man down, but they had to adjust. I thought they did that really well. I thought they added their own qualities to the pitch. And yeah, really disappointed for them that we didn't get something from the game too.
You now move on to Leeds on Saturday. Nothing's achieved alone. How key is it that the squad stick together to try and get that first win of the season?
Yeah, especially in this moment, especially after today. So I think we have to dust ourselves down. We have to absorb the defeat. We have to then reflect on the positives, and then we have to get ready for another really tough game.
Hey, fancy.
Right, so there you go. Another tough game, and I think that is exactly where we are when it comes to that. Now, Anthony Gordon went on to give his speech. Sorry again, that's quite small in the chat there, but I'm going to repeat exactly what he said on his social media platform. I want to sincerely apologise to my teammates and the fans. My intentions were pure. I was just trying to create energy in the game, and I mistimed the tackle. I also want to apologise to Virgil. I would never intend to tackle somebody like this on purpose. We spoke after, and he knows that. More importantly, I'm so proud excuse me, of the time I spent on the pitch and how we played tonight. The atmosphere from you all is that what makes the St James's Park so special. I love everything we stand for as a club, and no more than right now. I'll be back and better. The same as every other setback I've ever faced. See you soon. That was Anthony Gordon share in his deepest thoughts post-match. And again, I thought before the unfortunate sending off, and again, there's lots of people, yourself, saying that it was a harsh decision. I think in context, when you're off the floor, again, it looks like his movement is to try and pull away. It wasn't an outstretched leg. It wasn't a solid leg, which would have obviously seriously hurt or potentially seriously hurt Van Dijk. But when you're off the floor and you're going in on a challenge like that, you're not in control, and you're allowing the referee to make a decision.
That's right.
Now, and I think that is where it comes. And again, it's all about that passion. It's all about that momentum. You're filled with adrenaline. And as I said yesterday, I think I think, Van Dijk left something on Anthony Gordon, and I think there was a point to prove for Anthony Gordon yesterday. And I'm not saying that there was that intent in his mind, but I do think there was obviously an intent to close the space. And like I said, when you go off the ground, you have to question what was his intent. You know what I mean? If he hadn't got any chance of winning the ball, so I'll read into that a couple of things. But your thoughts on the interviews and obviously Anthony Gordon's speech?
Well, they are kind of stating the blindingly obvious.
Yeah.
But what I would like to address is the business about playing for a draw. The reason we are in the Champions League this season is because we didn't draw many matches last season. It was the wins that got us in the Champions League. It was the wins that increased the goal difference. It was the wins that put us above goal difference on Villa, who lost less games than we did, and yet we finished above them because we won more than they did. Simple as. And 3 points, we had this discussion a few times last season, and I'm quite happy. Apart from the fact that it's far more exciting to watch, I'm quite happy going for wins instead of trying to hang on for draws.
Well, we said it last year, didn't we? The attitude to the lads getting a point to getting 3 points, like I said, is massively changed.
Yeah, and long. I say long may that continue.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's positive.
You could look at Liverpool last night, albeit they were playing 10 men, right? But we've got from 2-0 down to 2-2 with 10 men. We've got them under the cosh again. We're pummeling their box, and they could have quite comfortably just sat back and absorbed everything.
Oh yeah.
But no, they went to try and get the win.
Absolutely.
And, as it happens, they got it. But that despondent, moi. I don't think so. Not today.
You can't be despondent over that effort.
After that performance, I mean, what I am despondent about is the Tonali injury, the J7 injury, the Gordon suspension, because that's going to affect us. But like I said, despite what Steve might think, we've had an exceptional window. With the exception of the striker position, we are stronger all over the park. And had we not had the window that we've had, losing J7 and Tonali would have been catastrophic. I'm saying, God bless him, would have been bringing Sean Longstaff in and Joe Willock. So no, thank you. I'm happy where we are, and let's see how they get on. I'm really worried about Tonali because, as I say, I've had a shoulder injury myself, and mine took best part of a year.
Oh yeah. If it's a bad one, if your rotator cuff is bad, then you are. It can be a long way back. I mean, hopefully there's no ligament tears in there because you like I say, this could be months rather than weeks. And interesting one because the BBC reported before the match, and the headlines was "Wear shades and get into them." And I think what they should have said was, wear shades if you're not going to finish the match. Because all three that they put out there, unfortunately, didn't finish the match. Thanks, Irish. Bruno got home. Liverpool's coach turned up outside. Bruno was asked to give Wirtz back. Bruno checked his pockets, realised Wirtz was still in one. I must admit, it was funny because again we'll come to
there's a whole load of chat going on about that because we've got our usual complement of Liverpool fans in at the minute.
Yeah. Keep it friendly, guys. Like I say, you will be. Like I say, we aren't a woke channel. We do allow things and the banter to go. But again, it's about being civil to one another. Like I say, there's still a lot of passion and a lot of feelings out there. And like I say, certain things can be taken out of context. And, I was the same yesterday. I was absolutely gutted and infuriated. And I apologise to everybody because while I was live, it was really funny because when we got the equaliser, the banter was flowing on our channel last night until we equalised. And it went completely dead. There wasn't a single Liverpool fan to be seen anywhere, right? And then all of a sudden they got the winning goal and they were back. And unfortunately, and again, I apologise to all out there if I caused any offence, because I said, again, there's one of our lads in our chat got timed out for saying exactly the same words, and I called you guys all plastic fans, and it was in the heat of the moment, and I apologise for that because that wasn't good. It wasn't good on my behalf, but it just proves, like I said, how easy and fickle we are as fans when a team is being pegged back. And like I say, when you're in the lead, you're quite happy to be out front and open and, keyboard warriors. And then as soon as it looks like it's turning, the tide is turning, you crawl away into the darkness. And like I say, reappear. And again, it's exactly the same today. You've come strong into the channel. And again, I love the support. I can't fault it. Some of you out there have got good intent, but there's one or two of you that I've noticed that haven't got the right mannerisms to go about the business. So I just wanted to question where we are when it comes to.
Can I just go on from that?
Oh yeah. Sorry, mate. You crack on.
Because as Eddie said in his interview, set plays. How and Liverpool fans last night, all over the place, were saying all they were doing was hitting us with set plays. Could this be Martin Mark making his mark? Our new set piece coach from Denmark. Coming from Set Piece FC, which by the way, it looks like Arsenal will be coming again. On a different note altogether, but or Corners FC. But it's part of the game, and it's an important part of the game. And I thought some of our set plays yesterday were excellent.
Well, like I said, we put them under the cosh. Some of the final third deliveries, don't get me wrong, I thought, like I said, when we had 11 players on the park, I struggled to see where we were going to get a goal. Because, again, it's that final third decision making. And, again, when you've got players that aren't quite on it, and, again, I look at Harvey Barnes, 2 back-to-back very poor games. And again, he seems very much, I keep on saying it, the mental player. If he beats you or there's a good play around the player that he's up against, he's got the confidence to do it again and again and again. But as soon as Zoboslai closed the door on him, he disappeared. He doesn't seem to be very part of the integral part of the team. So thanks, Tony Ross, for gifting a member. And I'll tell you that's gone to World of Warcraft noob. So there you go. Thanks, Tony.
World of Warcraft, my bill provider the other night.
Yeah, exactly. So thanks ever so much. And like I say, World of Warcraft, if you would try and continue your membership afterwards, it just helps us get forward. And again, you've got to ask yourself, some of the decision making during, like I say, the final steps, you have to question, right? You have to question because as a coach, you want what's best for the players, right? So again, I go back to why on earth would you, at the start of the second half, now we've just had a massive change in what happened in that first half, right? We're 1-0 down and we come to the second half. We've got a player lost. So Eddie said we're going to go to this 4-3-2 system, bit of a Christmas tree, if you like, with the star missing at the top. which seems very apt with Isak doing his AWOL. And then all of a sudden, you get the long punt down that left-hand channel where J7 has wandered onto the left wing. Now, again, I'll go back to it. J7's a big lad, 6'4", I think he is. He's solid. He's very muscular, but he can't jump. So if you come out of that midfield three to be the target man, two things have to happen. One of you two up the top have to drop back and cover the space. If not, he has to guarantee winning that ball or at least making it so awkward that the defender doesn't header it back towards the midfield because you are then outnumbered. You've lost that player because you've gone 4-2-3. Now, again, there's still a lot of work still to be done by Ekitike, but he's able to run 50 yards down, lay the ball off, and then get the ball squared back to him in a central position. And again, very good finish, not taking anything away from that. But that must have been mentioned. That must have been that initial setup of Eddie Howe. And this is why I said you have to critique what's in front of you. Why set up a system where you go in long, and it looks like very much it was Arnie Slot's working. They wanted to go long. Eddie Howe wanted to go long. A lot of balls last night was launched to the front lads because of the press from both teams, if you like, and how good they are in the final third. That was our undoing in the first minute of the second half. And that could have, and should have, if I'm absolutely honest, going down to 10 players, losing that second goal, completely demoralised the lads. But even if nothing else, it showed absolutely the opposite. What are you laughing at?
I'm laughing at Scouts around the world. The ref was definitely Newcastle's 12th man last night. He even gave you 11 minutes of injury time to score.
Yeah. There you go. A little bit of tongue in cheek.
Yeah.
And you know what? It is criminal though, isn't it? I mean, you were there at the great game. Did you worry?
Listen, there's Alan saying it's never ending. Either Eddie is at fault, usually him to blame, or players or tactics or owners. One of you guys become the manager. You've got all the answers.
It's not about blame. It's not about blame. It's like I keep saying, you have to ask the question. You're down to 10 players. And again, Alan, I am massive behind Eddie Howe and a massive fan behind all of the lads. But when you take out, and again, you look at J7. J7 didn't have a great game yesterday at all. He was a spoiler. Same as Tonali. I didn't think Tonali had a massively influential game yesterday because the tactic set up by Eddie Howe was to stop Liverpool midfield from dominating, which they did successfully. Unfortunately, what that did was stop us playing our natural game. Hence, we missed the midfield a lot of the time with the long balls over the top. How many times have you seen that before, where we miss out our midfield, which is, by everybody's opinion, our strongest asset on the field? So, we've gone direct. And that's what I said. It's a small tactical manoeuvre set up by somebody. Now, whether it was J7's thought process or Eddie Howe's thought process to go over the top and use him as a target man, but you've got to have cover in that situation. You can't afford to allow the likes of Liverpool to run into your own half unchallenged because you're a player short. That's all I'm saying.
The only thing I would say to counter that, though, Gary, is it was exactly those tactics that got us back to 2 each.
But that's what I said. But what I'm saying is you've taken a player out of your position.
I understand everything you're saying. But what I'm saying is, by doing that, we got back to 2 each.
Yeah. But not at the start of the second half. What the lads should have done is just got the grounding. That's what I'm saying. You're playing against 11 players. You're a player down.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah? I understand the emotion, and I think that's what it was. It was driven all by emotion, and I understand that. But what I'm saying is, I think that was where we got undone, just because of emotion. The will to go and get the equalising goal put us a little bit out of out of a formation. And again, against big teams, against good teams, they exploit that weakness. And that's what happened. But you're right. I mean, I'm not saying you're wrong. That's what I said. I love the fact that Eddie Howe goes for the win in the 110th minute when he could have gone totally negative and put 10 guys behind the ball.
I tell you what, as well, you could. I watched when the 11 minutes went up. I watched Bruno and Miley were together, and they looked at one another, and just went, and you actually saw their shoulders drop when the 11 minutes went up. Because they must, obviously they thought, we've done it, we're there. And then to see that 11 minutes go up.
Yeah.
That was, wow. And you can imagine they all felt the same way.
I mean,
we've pulled off a miracle here. And now we've got another 11 minutes to go. 11 minutes doesn't seem like a long time. It's a bloody long time when you've just played an hour with 10 men.
Absolutely. And just to put a little bit of context let's remove that. I'll put it on the wrong one. To the argument here. And again, this is why I said, I with Anthony Gordon's situation here, I keep looking at this Gravenberch behind, off the floor, scissor kick, not in control. That to me is dangerous all day long. So again, you've got to question, how does Liverpool stay with the 11 players on the park? Because that is one of, a few that I can note. I'll tell you now. But that to me, again, off the floor with both feet, diving in, not in control of your body.
That to me is a far more dangerous tackle than Gordon's was.
I'm not going to disagree with that. I'm not going to disagree with that one bit. Because like I say, his whole body weight is behind that, where Anthony Gordon, on contact, did try and pull his foot back and bent his leg. So, for me, that is a disgraceful tackle. And again, warranted more than a yellow card. Chris, bless him, in the live, said it was at least an orange. Yeah, you know what I mean? So, again, we talk about being fair here. And that's why I said there's a lot of people in the chat that gets a little bit passionate about decision making, and I've got a couple more that I want to bring. Where's the other one we saw yesterday? Oh, this is the other one I wanted to bring up again. Asking a question about, are we in a position here now? I have to be careful, obviously, what I show, guys. So I'm going to turn everything that I can off. There was a position that Bruno picks up on the halfway line. And he sees the run of Barnes in front of him, and he plays an absolutely beautiful ball into the channel. And you see Harvey Barnes; he's got this chance of running in behind. You've got Konate, you've got Van Dijk splitting the two defenders. Bruno collects the ball here from J7. I'm just going to run it through a little bit. There, he gets it out of his feet, and straight away, Konate and Harvey Barnes one-on-one, running into that deep position, the final third. Watch what happens. Two hands, pushed over. Last man, referee gives not even a foul. Not even a foul. Now, watch Bruno's reaction here. You can see the two hands. The referee is right in line with it. He's not by any chance, blocked out by a player, and he just tells Harvey Barnes to get off the floor. Now, Bruno is absolutely furious, and he gets a yellow card. Because you could see it all day, every day. It was clear, even when me and Chris were doing the live commentary. There's two hands on the side of him, and he gets pushed over. That's another one. Your thoughts on that, sir?
Yeah, absolutely. That comment before just made me laugh. 12th man playing for the Toon. A blind man on a galloping horse yesterday could see whose side that referee was on.
Absolutely.
Absolute disgrace. Disgrace.
And it, it goes on and on and on, and that's what I couldn't understand. It wasn't just the one challenge. I mean, there was another one from Gravenberch on J7, which you have to question. This is in the box, both arms around his waist. You can see Mr. Hooper there in picture. Got a clear view of it. He drags him to the ground there. Again, nothing. There's the Fabian Shaw incident, where Fabian Shaw gets pushed to the ground. Again, in the penalty area. Anywhere else on the park, it's a foul. But because it's in the penalty area, against Liverpool, you can say, not given, I bet I can guarantee you now, if that was at Anfield and it was against Newcastle, and Newcastle had got hold of Gravenberch, it would have been given.
Yeah,
because that's how I feel about it.
No doubt at all. No doubt at all.
And again, there's multiple ones. Even, as daft as it looks, the Fabian Shaw concussion incident, right? Now, you have a look at that incident again. He gets nailed by, have a guess who? Van Dijk's elbow. It cuts the side of his head, and he's down. He's lost consciousness for a couple of seconds. Hence, and again, I have to give credit where credit's due. Alisson gets the physios on really quick, waves them on, and again,
keep that on the screen a second. That foul was nothing. Don't be ridiculous. Both players just fell over. You're making out it was it is a bloody rugby tackle. Look. His arms are crossed.
Well, he's trying to run forward, and he's holding him back. I mean, it's just. It's there playing for. It's obvious. Go watch the game again. There's several of them. It's not just the one. There's two on Fabian Shaw. There's one on Dan Burn. There's one or two on J7. Just watch the game back and have a look. And that's what I said. I don't mind losing a game as long as it's fair. And I just don't think it was fair yesterday on all of the accounts. Liverpool took their goals fantastically well. I can't take anything away from that. But I just want to play a playing field that's fair and even across both parties. And I just think sometimes the gravity always seems to fall towards Liverpool rather than Newcastle. And again, yes, I'm a Newcastle fan. And yes, I speak with a certain bias. But trust me, as you've seen, for everybody that's watching this channel, I also criticise Newcastle. Again, don't give anything away when I say Anthony Gordon's was a red card, but there was nothing less malicious in that than there was in Gravenberch's tackle.
No.
And that's what I say. So again, you've got to ask yourself, where's the fairness across both sides of the park? And again, you go into to certain conversations. And this is what I was saying at the start of the thing. I was reading some of our comments, some of our chats. Again, there's that much of it these days. I can't see everything. But I get to that point where, again, there's lots of people that seem to be Eddie out. They've got this mindset that Eddie isn't the man to go forward. And again, you look at the negativity within the chat where we haven't got players through the door, and it's not by design. This isn't something that Eddie Howe is trying to do his best to scupper. You can see the commitment and the cause that is there to try and get replacements for the players that don't want to play for the club anymore.
Well, very interesting, of course, that Yassir was there last night. So yeah. Hopefully that'll add a bit of urgency into his checkbook signing.
Well, it was funny because you get two sides of the coin there. Because you got Craig Howe, Craig Hope. That obviously Craig Howe is Eddie Howe's brother. You've got Craig Hope last night saying the meeting that they had at the Swedes' house. He doesn't know which way it goes. And then you get Luke Edwards at the Telegraph saying he hasn't changed his mind. He still wants out. So I don't know where that information's come from. You know what I mean? It's like I said, this is at midnight where Craig Hope is doing his post-match chat, and Luke Edwards has already put a thing out there saying that Isak is still adamant he wants out of the club. So again, without any details coming from, again, unless somebody had a microphone, tape recording of that conversation, you have to question where Luke Edwards have got that information from. But it's a strange scenario we find ourselves when it comes to people that still aren't sure of whether we have got a stronger squad or a weaker squad, because again, people question who gets into the starting 11. Now, like I say, we're going to get into the player scores, but I wanted to ask you what your thoughts were from the lads that came on the pitch, because obviously we all saw. Obviously, the one thing was Toon Army coming off the park, but I think what was quite fitting, and again, you talk about passion and the want to win this game, I think was evident by all to see from this lad, J7, who, like I say, he'd got tears in his eyes when he come off that park yesterday. And people were saying to me, it's from the pain, and it is uncomfortable. But I think a lot of that is just adrenaline.
Yeah.
It's just pure and utter adrenaline, and the want to get a result. And that's how everybody was feeling. The lad who I thought was absolutely outstanding was Bruno. I'm surprised he stayed on the pitch, because there was a couple of times where, he was starting to leave his footing. He was getting frustrated with a lot of decision making that was going his way. But I thought he was, like I say, you could just tell by that picture there. He does speak 1,000 words.
Yeah, well, I tell you who I was impressed with, Ramsey.
Yeah, he was positive, wasn't he?
Again, the two major protagonists, if you like, who came on for us, Ramsey and Miley. Not forgetting the Sula, of course, but we'll come on to him.
Well, we'll come on to him, yeah.
But Miley, again, for me, didn't do a lot. What he did. There was one incident in particular when he was given the ball just outside their area, and he could have shot. He had a perfect opportunity to let fly, and we knew he can hit a ball. But instead of that, he tried playing a long ball onto the wing, and it just went straight into touch, which was really poor. That was a really poor. But other than that, he was workmanlike. But I thought Ramsey, on the other hand, had a great debut.
He looks a good signing, doesn't he? If he can stay fit,
he looks a very good signing. Yeah, and I wouldn't be bothered at all about him having to come in, because he's different. Of course, he's different. Everybody's different to J7. But I think he could give us, what Willock used to be like.
Yeah. Well, let's say his first season when he was on loan, he looked really good, and that's what I said. I hope he can continue. Like I say, it was a very, very again. You're coming into St James's Park at what was potentially I think it was better than PSG atmosphere. That's what it sounded like I say, for the 10 minutes that I had it on in the background. And I have a quick snip of yesterday's atmosphere, I think, somewhere. I have clipped it, which looked phenomenal, I must admit. When you look at this stadium, it's only 25 minutes long, 25 seconds, I should say, not minutes. It was absolutely sensational. And this is taken by somebody who's in the crowd. It is a black screen as we speak, but soon won't be. Absolutely fantastic. Absolutely fantastic.
That's actually from the Liverpool area.
Oh, it's not. Liverpool's over
Oh,
on that other
no,
side.
sorry,
No.
there's a goal on the left.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's all right. I know that you go to every home game. I mean, you should
it's
know
from the
you.
Milburn stand.
Milburn, yeah, you say it's the top of the Milburn stand, yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, like I said, you can just feel it, the atmosphere in the air, and that was for me was the killer. And I was gutted the fact that, like I say, I wasn't at the match because I had the chance of going, and unfortunately, family matters, and that's all you can do. It's like when the family call, you have to go running. And I was up the northeast, and the atmosphere around Whitley Bay, like I say, I didn't see it. The family is still up there. They're in South Shields at the minute, spending a few more days in South Shields on the beach. I was stuck up my cousin's loft for 2.5
Been up
days.
this weekend, Lee?
Yeah. I come up Friday night,
Yeah.
doing the loft because I didn't say hello to anybody because I just wanted to get the job done. And we ended up, we were going up with me and the missus. The kids were being looked after, and then the kids was like, "Oh, we want to come onto the beach." So it was like, okay, so right, come on. So like I said, it's been more of a family outing. I went up on my trike. The missus followed in the car. And I came back yesterday morning, 4.5 hours. There was a bit of a to-do on the motorway. So when I got on the show last night, my back was in bloody bits, I'll tell you. Sitting on that sports trike for 4.5 hours, it certainly puts you into a posture that you don't like or your body's not used to. But again, we used to call it Scotch weekend. Back in the day, August bank holiday weekend in Whitley Bay. But it was very much Scouse weekend because everywhere there was lots of Liverpool fans. We had the banter, we had the vibes, and it was a great atmosphere. Didn't see any trouble anywhere, which again, I can say thanks very much. Everybody gets back safe, and I hope everybody travelling south, wherever you're from, Liverpool fans also got home safe. But it was just the fact that you could just feel it, Like I say, I didn't spend much time out and about because I was working on my cousin's property. And it was one of those situations where you just knew this, this is going to be some game. And does it warrant the atmosphere? And I think they both aligned last night. Sometimes the hype behind a game can get to a point where it doesn't match the hype. I think this yesterday actually surpassed the hype.
I'm looking at the.
I'm going to say you're engrossed in something there.
I'm looking at the spacey chat. Keep it civil. Lad.
Yeah. Keep it civil, guys. Keep it civil. Right then, let's get on to the player markings then.
Are we not doing that as separate?
No. We're going to do it right at the end. I think Chris was saying just do it right at the end of the show. It just makes it sense. I mean, if he wants to clip it, then he can clip it, can't he? And then we can go. So again, you're going to have two points of view. And again, everybody in the chat, please get involved. It'd be lovely to see what you what you feel of the players that we are in question, and obviously if you can just at this point, because like I say, we are swapping over, we'll get any news that comes our way during the final 10-15 minutes or so, we will bring you. Like I say, we've got lads in the background keeping up to date with all of the news coming our way. So again, there's nothing really to shout home about as we speak. But as always, Connor wants me to show a picture, and I think it's warranted. Connor's just sent me this picture, so I'm just going to I'm just going to have a quick look, see if I can find a way of putting it on the screen without becoming too biased. But I think it does warrant a viewing. Yeah, only Liverpool get hugs from referees and officials. Yeah, crazy that, isn't it? Thanks, Connor, for that one. But yeah, going on to yesterday's game then. What was your thoughts on Nick Pope, please, buddy? Are you were you happy with his performance, or were Were you not?
Listen, he could have done better, perhaps. He could have done slightly better, but I'm not blaming him for the goals. He made a couple of good saves. You could argue we provided the assist.
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
That free kick.
I'm sure he'll claim it.
So I give him a 6. It wasn't one of his. And again, the number of times when we had the ball in defence, and they were just frightened to pass it back to him with any sort of pace at all, which put us under pressure. Because they just know that they cannot trust him with his feet. So I'm going to give him a 6.
I mean, I have to be with you. Like I said, I think when you look at the overall performance, and again, I have to go. There was lots of time during that game yesterday where he wasn't involved in the game a lot. So again, you've got to question, concentration, a lot of pressure on the game, lots of eyes on every individual out there. And people will always say he barely moved for any goal. And I've explained what I saw of the goals. And again, that's only my opinion. Everybody has the right to their own opinion. But again, it's like I said, he did what he had to do. Times, like you said, he looked so dodgy with his feet. There was a part where he could have let the ball go out for a goal kick because I think Wirtz was closing him down. He was miles away from him, but he decides there was a couple of yards for it to go out for a goal kick, but he still decides to kick it out for a throw-in. I sometimes say, well, if you're not sure, get it gone. Again, that's not a criticism. There's just certain times where I feel as though, if he puts his body in between ball and player, the player can't get to the ball. You know what I mean? So it's sometimes his decision making at times and again, I think that comes down to confidence with his feet. I don't think he's confident with his feet, and I think that's apparent. So yeah, I'm happy with 6. I think 6 is good for Pope. Like I say, I don't think.
I mean, you could mark him down for his distribution. I mean, it's 7 out of 19.
Yeah.
Accurate passes.
Not good, is it?
2 out of 14 accurate long balls. Albeit one of them got the goal, but
yeah. Well, that's what I said. I mean, they start with a 6. He ends up with a 6 because there was nothing apart from what he had to do, which was save a couple of not great shots.
Well,
so
one was a pretty good save.
The far side one that was being shaped into the but I mean, again, it wasn't away from him. It was like I say, and I think that was potentially going wide anyway from Wirtz, from the angle that we saw. But again, he wasn't sure of that, and he needed to make sure. So I'm not criticising him for that, but I'm not going to mark him up, and I'm not going to mark him down. So I think 6 is a good score. Kieran Trippier. Oh, this is going to be a good
I don't think he was as bad as what you think he was.
I thought he was awful.
Yeah, I know you did. I'm sticking with a 6 for him as well. It wasn't his best performance by a long stretch. However, he still showed that nous in a few situations that you get with being the experienced player that he is in breaking up a couple of long balls that Liverpool put through. He ended up not actually winning the ball, but at least he stopped the momentum and allowed us to kind of regroup.
Yeah.
So
I have to question some of his judgment, and I say that with a little, because again, I still like the lad. I think he's a great warrior for the club. Yeah. When he's got his head in the right space, and I think yesterday, I've never seen a player mistime a header and jump underneath the ball as Kieran Trippier.
Normally, for a little fella, he wins more than his fair share of aerial duels. But yesterday, bear in mind, I mean, I don't know, Gakpo must be probably 3 or 4 inches taller than him to start with.
Yeah, but if you commit to the ball in the air,
yeah, I know,
you've got to win it.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is Nous then got him out of those. He'd made the wrong decision in the first place to try and head the ball, but he then, on one occasion, he just like clipped Gakpo and gave the free kick away. And on the other occasion, he still regrouped, got in front of him again, and slowed the play down to allow them to regroup. But not his best game by a long way.
No, so I've given him a 5. Lots of misjudgments, like I say, in defence. A couple of positions, like I say, he's coming forward to win. You know, and again, I've just seen the comment from Chris. I think you were right. When it come to me, it was a case of, do you understand, you know, winning the ball when the ball's in the flight of the air? If you can't beat a player in the air, then just make it awkward for the player receiving the ball. You know what I mean? Because if you commit to that ball when it's coming in the air, you've got to win it, or they're behind you. And you can't afford to do that several times. But the biggest common denominator for me was giving the throw-in away for their first goal.
Yeah.
That to me was, you know, the catalyst, if you like, from being very good front foot team, looking as though, you know, half a chance with a little bit of luck, we could take the lead and should take the lead if we had the right players on the park.
And then the third goal is Tony T in revenge. That's Crumpets is saying. Was Trips even on the pitch when Liverpool scored the third? Because of course he was up the field trying to get the winner.
Well, again,
that was why Rio was completely unmarked.
Well, he wasn't on the field then. He'd been subbed. He was off the field. He'd gone. I mean, you'd got Lewis Hall come on to left back, and Tino went to right back.
So it was Tino that was.
Yeah, but Tino was. You had to cover 2 players, and like I say, we'll get to Tino in a second. So yeah, 5 for me with Trippier. Fabian Shaw.
Again, not his best game. A lot of his long balls were haphazard. And whether he was following instructions to go along all the time, I don't know. But the Gakpo shot before Ekitike followed up, he was slow then. So I'll give him a 6 still. You know, I'm not going to mark anybody really down on that performance yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, I've gone 5.5, and I know we don't give half points, so I'm going to go 6. I'll give it up again, just because of the eagerness that, you know, he was much better, and he looked, like I say, as though he was causing havoc in the opposition penalty area, and that's why I've gone up 1 rather than down 1. But as a defender, he stood off. I think he gave a little bit too much respect, but you know, he was showing a lot of general aggression towards Ekitike. Didn't really, you know, he didn't give Ekitike a lot. But again, sometimes allowing opposition players a little bit too much space when they're allowed to get a shot off can score goals, and we saw that yesterday. It was luck to a point with the first one. With that slight deflection from him, but again, you look at the distance he was from the rest of the bodies he was very deep within the penalty area, and that concerns me at times. And I can't really fault him for the Ekitike goal because it was a well placed shot, shaping away from Popey. So, but again, you know, I think he could have been better, as you said. A lot of these long balls didn't really go to anything particular.
Just to nip back the trips for a second, to kind of phrase there, saying the first goal was an error from Big Joe. He asked for the ball off the throw-in and then changed his mind just as the ball was thrown to him. Well,
Yeah, but again, the person with the responsibility is the thrower, right? And I know this sounds crazy, and we often see, and I go back to the Bruno Guimaraes when he was playing in the 6th role, he'd come in deep and ask for the ball to feet. And how many times have we said you can't half turn when you've asked for the ball into feet? You know, you can't half turn. And again, it's up to Pope to give him the ball. And this is what I said. When you've got the ball, you are the person responsible to make sure that where you deliver it, and we saw, James Trafford the weekend, who got slated for Man City conceding that second goal because he gave the ball to a player that comes short for it. But again, the responsibility comes down to the person delivering the ball, not the person who's asking for it. If you don't think it's the right place to give it, then don't give it. Go long down the line. But again, J7 was at fault because he should have been stronger, and the ball was taken off him. And that's why I've marked J7 down as well as we go through. Dan Burn, wow.
Up there.
What can I say? What can I say about
man
Dan
of the
Burn
match
yesterday?
for me? But he wasn't man of the match, but which we'll come on to. But just immense. Again, immense. The one tackle in particular, when they were attacking the Leeds' end, and the ball went up the wing, and Dan must have given the winger 3-yard start, and he just went sliding in with that long leg of his, and put it out for a throw-in when it was, it was odds on that the Liverpool player was going to get the ball and have a, free cross. Or free, wouldn't have been a cross, it would have been a pass because he had a runner with him. And Dan just, went across. Majestic and beautiful tackle into touch. And then aerially, he was just so dominant, especially going forward as well. They didn't have an answer for him. He could have, for me, he could have had 2 penalties because the referee was giving him no protection at all, and they were just manhandling him all up. Fortunately, he's big enough to shake them off. But as you say, if some of those incidents happened outside the penalty area, there would be fouls all day long.
Yeah. Absolutely. Like I say, I don't mind a tough game as long as it's if it's fair across both sets of players. And it just seems, again, we always say it. We always seem to have the rough end of the stick when it, certain players, and we saw that evidently with J7. His first challenge, he didn't get a yellow card, but he was pulled across by Mr. Hooper, and yet several red shirts, and again, Gravenberch being one of them. There was Gagpo had several challenges that again never got spoken to by the referee, but it was what they call continuous fouls, deservedly speaking, a talking to the captain and the player. But again, marked player J7, marked by all of the referees now, I guarantee it. First one pulled over. And again, but going back to Dan Burn, I've just put him as Man Mountain, continuing his form from the Aston Villa game. Again, I thought was outstanding. He continues to be probably our best defender at the moment, or our most important defender when it comes to defending
when it comes
to
defend.
But what I also saw yesterday was, we're talking the end of the game. Again, a lad who's been on the park, who's been moving backwards and forwards, coming up. He's literally going box to box on a number of occasions because the way we dominated the play. So set pieces, he was up in the penalty area. But for me, what made Dan Burn stand out from everybody else yesterday, he looks really assured on the ball. And again, being that constant threat. Being that constant threat in both boxes.
And the number of times as well, by the way, that because of the reluctance of anybody to pass the ball back to Pope. They give it to him in sometimes really precarious positions, and he still manages to get the ball up the pitch, keep it in play. And out of all the times he did that yesterday, that was only on one occasion did it go to a Liverpool player in a kind of half threatening position. Something could have came from. Most of the time, he was finding Tino or Barnes on the left wing.
Yeah. And like I say, for me, he was a man mountain. I've got to give him 8. He's certainly up there with the man of the match point of view. Absolutely fantastic yesterday. Again, playing with a lot of heart, passion, for the club. Wears the badge purely on his heart, and a local lad. So again, if he continues that form, I can't see Botman getting back into the side very quickly because, like I said, it's nice now that
we go 3 at the back.
Unless we go 3 at the back, obviously, which there's every chance now because of injuries to midfield. Yeah. Another star in the making for me.
Despite what Jamie Smith might say.
Yeah. Tino Livramento. Wow, what a game again yesterday.
Again. Absolutely. I mean, some of the runs it was when he was bringing the ball and just beating men for fun and bringing it into the click. Again, his final pass, just needs some work doing to it. But he's just on the up and up and up. Whereas Hall was arguably, in contention for Player of the Season for us last year. Tino is up there with him now, especially when he plays left back.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, I've been absolutely in awe of the lad. You talk about playing in not your natural position, and yet he looks more comfortable and competent on the left-hand side than he does on the right. And you're absolutely right when you say, you talk about, for me, it's like heart in mouth moment because he's picking the ball up deep. And unfortunately,
surrounded.
We are used to seeing, well, he got 3 players on him yesterday, and he's brought the ball not from the, not only has he brought the ball up the wing, but he's brought it into midfield.
Yeah.
And you're absolutely right. He just needs that little bit more composure.
Bit more composure when he's done that. He's done the hard work.
Yeah.
Just a little bit composure to make that final ball a good one.
Yeah, and to be fair, down that left-hand side, on the couple of times that he'd taken the challenge of Salah and said, you know what, I've been following you, now follow me. And he goes on them marauding runs down the left-hand side to, obviously, Barnes' happiness, if you like, because it helps Barnes out a lot. And he gets in there. And like I say, if we'd have got to the... if we'd have got to that point where, we got that, I mean, you've got to ask yourself, with Tino Livramento not being a natural left footer, if we could just deliver the ball a little bit better into the penalty area at times. He has got it in his locker, but it's more of a floated cross, isn't it? Rather than
he's got it in his locker. His final ball has been excellent when he's been, for some reason, when he's gone on the overlap and he's crossing from the corner. He's excellent there, but it's the other time when he's got it on the deck. He's went on one of his little mazy runs, and just the ground ball to whoever. And there was a couple of times yesterday when he had options. We had unmarked players, and he just either overhit it slightly or underhit it slightly.
Yeah,
but that'll come.
Yeah, well, I mean, you've also got to he got the assist for Bruno's first goal. It was a pinpoint cross with his right foot, shaped him beautifully towards that 6-yard box. And again, really, really good well, good individual performance all night. And like I say, there's 3 players that got into straight away. I marked as potential man of the matches, and it was very difficult for me to pick one above the other.
Bruno.
And it was like Tino for me because of that, against probably one of the best attacking lineups in the Premier League.
Again, Salah
never had a sniff. Yeah, exactly. Kept him quiet the entire moment. Dominant force going forward as well. Got the assist. Gets a 9 for me. Absolutely outstanding individual performance. And again, having to move positions through the match as well. And again, people criticised him for being out of position for their winning goal. But again, not his fault. He has to make a decision. But I just thought, that could change your mentality when you've done so well on the left back to change over to your right side. Went out the game a little bit as the game went on. Again, this is where, we need to start seeing the likes of Tino developing more, if you like, and still being involved, even though your system's changed, because he had to take on the mantle of Trippier's role, which was more of a deep lying defender rather than an attacking defender like Lewis Hall did. Tried to do the work down that left-hand side when the replacements went, but a top effort from the lad. Yep. Bruno, as you talked about there, Bruno Guimaraes, what did you think of his performance?
Man of the match for me.
Yeah.
Man of the match by a mile. I'm saying by a mile, not by a mile, but just commitment, drive, again, no protection from the referee. Played his heart out. Man of the match for me. 9.
Yeah. I agree. I mean,
probably an 8 on his performance, but a 9 for the goal. Got us back in, gave us hope, and he was doing his normal crowd geeing up routines, which worked. Because every time he was doing it, we're up there with him. And interesting comment here from one of our Liverpool fans here saying, Tony T, he says, I heard the entire crowd cheer when 11 minutes was put up. You were in the ascendancy at the time. What you're suggesting makes no sense. So the guy knew we were going to score in the last few minutes. No, what you're referring to there, RSL 76, is exactly the fact that there's 52,000 people cheering, and I was cheering when I saw 11 go up. I cannot tell a lie. I was cheering. But as I just said earlier on, I watched Bruno and Miley go, in 11 minutes.
Yeah.
But this again refers to why didn't, when we got the equaliser, why didn't it? The crowd wouldn't have allowed them to. The crowd simply would not have allowed them to.
I don't think the players wanted to either, though.
No, I think it was a weird situation.
It was a phenomenal atmosphere.
You look in the cold light of day and think, yeah, of course that's what we should have done. Of course that's what we should have done. But the momentum and the crowd and the ecstasy that we're in from having got level, it was just, can we make this something really, really special? And sadly, it backfired. But am I bothered about that? I'm not. I'm not bothered one little bit.
No, exactly. It was a great game.
That's one of the great nights that I'll never forget.
Exactly, and I think that's it, isn't it? It's a great advertisement for Premier League football. And that was like a global watch along. It was one of them games where it could have been won or lost by like I say, anybody. And unfortunately, because of the way it was swinging very heavily towards Liverpool, playing against 10 men, 2 goals up, you're thinking there's no way back. And even I commented on that, saying it's good. The sending off's going to spoil the game now. It didn't. In actual fact, it made it better because the 10 lads that remained on the field actually was working so hard to push Liverpool further and further back, trying to create pockets of opportunities. To pin them back to 2-2 with the effort that was given, absolutely phenomenal. And I've put down Bruno as a leader. He's a total leader, fierce determination throughout.
There's been questions asked about whether he should have been given the captaincy.
I'm one of them.
I don't think we should have any worries about him being the captain.
A player who leads by example, not by his mouth. And I think that there's a difference, right? When he first had the captain's armband, he couldn't find his feet. He was trying to do something. He was trying to do too many people's jobs. And again, you have to ask yourself, if everybody else is giving less than the 5% more that he's giving, he's got a job to do. So he has to move those players around him. And I think a massive contributor to his game improving now has been the introduction of Toon Army into the team. We saw it last year. It's allowed Bruno to be a little bit more free, a little bit more forward thinking, to go and play in the pockets of space where he can, flourish, if you like. Now, I said yesterday, and I'll say it openly here, I think Bruno was very lucky to stay on the field yesterday. There was a couple of points where he was being a bit naughty. He was getting frustrated with some of the decisions that were going against them. And again, there was a couple of times where he left his foot in. And it wasn't to cause harm. It was just a silliness, if you like, a little bit of petulism. But again, that was passion. It's all driven by complete passion and the want to be successful and the want to win. And unfortunately, like I said, he gets a booking for a bit of misconduct because, again, he was full of adrenaline and the will to get there. But again, he was lucky to stay on the park at times, especially the way it was being managed by the officials. So it's something I didn't miss. And like I say, it's something that he needs to look at himself if he watches the game back, and something that he needs to change within his personality. Because, like I say, it was very evident that he was wound up. It was very evident that he was wound up by the decision-making, and it could have affected the overall impact that Bruno had on the game. It didn't, and he was still my man of the match, and I gave him a 9.
Yeah, I'm not going to argue with that.
Toon Army, what's your thoughts on Toon Army?
He was Toon Army, he was the player that we know he can be on occasions, but the first, until the sending off, he was doing exactly what he normally does. He was in amongst it all the time, really combative. But then marred by the shoulder, and you couldn't mark him down by the injury, obviously not. But I don't think he was as good as Byrne. I don't think he was as good as Tino. I don't think he was as good as Bruno. So I give him a 7.
Yeah, I've got to agree with you. Like I said, he had a different role to play yesterday. With Wirtz being on the team, he, again, a potential match winner, if you like. Came to Liverpool.
Was he playing?
Exactly, a substantial fee. And as typical, Toon Army didn't give him much of a sniff. So again, playing a different role, didn't really do his usual type of game because he had a set tactic to be sourced, if you like. And it's just a shame that he had to come off again. Showed a lot of determination in that midfield. Really looks up for it.
And by the way, I'm pretty sure it was him that wanted to stay on.
Yeah, that's what I said. Even with that nasty shoulder injury, which looks like he's going to be missing a few weeks now. But he was the one who said to the physio, I want to continue and try it out.
He'll be our biggest miss. There's no doubt about it.
Oh, absolutely. It's a big hole to fill. And like I say, we'll come to young Miley, who replaced him towards the end. But again, he didn't give Liverpool's much vaunted midfield much of a chance, to be fair. And he's going to be a massive miss if he does go. Got on to J7 then. Sorry, I gave him a 7. Did I say that? 7.
7, the same.
J7. Yeah, J7.
J7, I'll give him a 7 as well. I thought he put himself about. We know he hasn't got the technical abilities of some of them, but by God, he still puts a shift in every single time. And as soon as he went, I said to our kid, I says that's a hamstring, that.
No, it's a groin.
And apparently it's not. No, but that's the way he held it. I thought, oh no.
Yeah.
So we know all about groins that can be.
Yeah, well, the inner guide, which looked like it was the way he was holding. If it's a tear, well, he walked off. That's the main thing. He walked off with a limp. But again, that's going to be several weeks.
Said he was in agony.
Yeah, several weeks before. And again, he's in tears. You can see, the emotion that's coming out of him. He's wound up with the adrenaline. I mean, again, not as influential as I wanted him to be. He looked, like I say, he was more determined to tackle than any other player on the park, if you like. But that's Joe Linton. He's the spoiler. He's not there for the technical ability. He's there because he's a unit. And he was, he set the early tone, if you like, with his physical presence. But again, not really. I didn't think he got involved enough in the gameplay. And again, I haven't marked him down. I haven't really marked him up. I've given him a 7. And again, I keep saying, for a lad of his stature, he should be able to get off the floor better. And if he's the one who's holding his hands up and he goes the start of that second half and they launch the ball towards him, like the Kieran Trippier situation, if you put yourself out of position, then you've got to be determined to win that ball, or at least stop the opposition from getting the ball. And like I said, I don't know whose decision that was, but when you put yourself open, and again, as was mentioned in the chat, he was the one that came forward for the Kieran Trippier throw, wasn't strong enough at that point. So a couple of question marks over his game, but I think it would be totally unfair to mark him less than a 7 because of his endeavour and his attitude.
I think anybody being marked less than a 7 is, and obviously we're going to come on to a couple, but on that performance from the vast majority of the team, be totally wrong.
Yeah. Going on to Anthony Elanga. What's your thoughts?
Again, a couple of we know all about his afterburners. He's absolutely skinned the fullback a couple of times, but not a lot of gale, not a lot of final product. But worked his bollocks off 2 or 3 times, tackled back. Was doing a Jacob Murphy, getting back and defending when he needed to. So I've given him a 7 as well.
Yeah.
Just on the basis of the team, he was part of that unit that did what it did.
I mean, if I'm honest with you, I thought Kirkers, the lad that he was up against, was probably their weakest player yesterday, even though there was a few players on the Liverpool side that went amiss a couple of times. But I thought, Elanga, it was a couple of bright moments, but again, it's composure in the final third. He just seems to be missing something. And again, whether that's, I often say it sometimes when you're playing with a lot of adrenaline, he's a very awkward style of player. He's got very fast feet, very Asula-esque at times. And when he seems his best when the ball's in front of him and he's got a time to take a touch away from his feet. Looks a little bit unorthodox at times for me. And I'm still expecting a little bit more from him. And again, I had my doubts when he come to the club, what he can bring. And as of yet, after 2 games and obviously seeing him in pre-season, I have still yet to change my mind. But again, there's some promising signs there. Like I say, he's pacing behind his threat for defence. It's a nightmare for any coach to try and get a set up to combat pace. alone, but it's what he can give you at the end product for me. And like I say, he probably needs a goal or a goal assist just to get going, to get that confidence, if you like, that he's part of the team. And I think at the minute he's brand new to the team. He's still trying to get used to the team. But again, there was signs that was good. So I'm going to I've put him down as a 6.5 because it's really hard. I don't want to give him a knock, but I don't want to praise him because there was elements to his game yesterday that I think he could have done better. Then there was elements to his game that I thought was really good. You know what I mean? So I was stuck in that moment with him. I'm going to give him a 6. I'm going with a 6 because, like I say, I want to see a bit more composure in the final third, and that's what we bought him for. We've bought him for the final third, not what he can give us as a defender, because we know he hasn't got that in his locker. But he did track back a few times in the first half to support the defence, and he did give us an outlet down that one side. Going on to Harvey Barnes.
Oh dear.
What can I say about Harvey Barnes? Well, I'll let you start.
Well, he was just poor, wasn't he?
Yeah,
and that's two games on the trot. He did, to be fair, he did put the cross in for
the Gordon header.
One that Gordon nodded over. But nah, sorry. I've had, as you know, I've had me doubts about Chris's love child. But his lack of pace especially. And I think you're right when you say he's very, very much a confidence player.
Yeah.
And if he doesn't get off to a good start and beat his man and get the adrenaline going. But no, he had a poor game. He was probably the worst player on the pitch, I think.
Oh, by far. Yeah, by far. I mean, one great cross, like you say, for Anthony Gordon, but again, disappointed because he was up against a makeshift right back. Now, we know Szoboszlai, he's no slouch. I think he's a tidy player. But again, you've got to ask yourself, what can you do as a winger? Because that's what he's come to the club as. To get past this lad, if you can't beat him with pace, can you beat him with skill? Can you take him on his wrong foot and onto your natural strong foot? And he never looked like beating him once. Szoboszlai made Harvey Barnes look totally ordinary. And the only time that we looked like getting behind on that left-hand side was the help from Tino. And it got Harvey Barnes out of jail. And obviously, like I say, you've got to the pinpoint cross for Anthony Gordon was great. But again, to be on the field for the entire 111 minutes and not really contribute to an actual shot at goal, you've got to question what is he doing in the side. And I think
what he's doing in the side is we ain't got no striker.
Well, but what I'm saying is, now we have got certain replacements for certain positions. He has to be dropped after 2 poor performances now for me.
Yeah.
I can't see him again. It's hard now because you've got 4 players going to be missing against Leeds. So again, it's very difficult for Eddie Howe not to keep him in the side. But, like I said, I've witnessed this lad when he was at West Brom. I've witnessed him when he was at Leeds. And I'm seeing exactly the same player that I saw back then. Sorry, at Leicester, not Leeds. And I'm seeing him exactly the same player as I see now in a Newcastle shirt. As I keep saying, he's a player that if he beats you, will beat you again. If you beat him, he disappears. And
I think his natural position is on the bench.
I think his natural position, as I've said it all along, is a 10. When he plays with his back to goal, he's a slow build-up player. He can see a pass and he's got a shot on him, but he's not got no pace. So it's a case of you have to develop play through him rather than with him, and you keep him away from the other positions. And again, when I say he's a 10, is he a 10 in the Premier League? Possibly not. But that doesn't mean that he should be in the Premier League. Does that make sense? It sounds But when a player has no pace down the wing, then you have to utilise other things. And he hasn't got it in his locker. You've seen that. It's quite evident.
Well, all his best games for us have been coming on as a sub. And then and cutting in. Maybe it's because it's against tired legs.
Yeah, possibly.
Who knows? That's when he's had his biggest impact for us. So I think that's where he's going to be if he's going to have a long-term future here.
Yeah, but like I said, he hasn't got the skill to beat a player, and that's what I'm saying. And like I said, he
hasn't got the pace,
and he hasn't got the pace to get behind you. So that's what I said. So you have to question, and you're quite right. He's been most successful against tired legs, where that little bit of pace that he's got still gets the other opposition on the back foot. So utilising him in the last 15 minutes could be a benefit, if you like.
Foxy's and Barnes is a moments player. Sounds harsh to say, but he's a one-trick pony, as he only has one signature move: cut inside and get his shot off.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, it's not, and that's what I couldn't understand when we signed him, because it's not anything different than what he was when he was a 17-year-old kid. And like I said, I saw him on the left-hand side, I saw him on the right-hand side, and I see him playing in the 10. And like I say, in the Championship, he looked really natural as a 10. But that's what I said. Is his natural position as a 10 in the Premier League? Probably not. But he looked really comfortable in a 10 in the Championship, playing for West Brom.
He's saying if Barnes can't do it, Tony T, if Barnes can't do it versus Leeds, then he won't do it versus bigger and better teams.
Yeah. Well, like I said, there's still I still have doubts about the lad, and I look again. It hasn't changed from last year. He has good games, and I'll praise him, and when he has bad games, we have to criticise it. Here we go, Anthony Gordon. Your thoughts on Anthony Gordon?
Up to the sending off.
Well, yeah, you've got to
probably 8, because he was literally all over the place. He had he missed them, but he had, again, similar to Villa, 40. Do you know he had the most shots on Saturday, the round week 1 of the Premier League? Anthony Gordon had the most shots on target of anybody, 7.
Crazy, isn't it?
And again, in the first, half an hour yesterday, he had 4 half chances.
Yeah.
He isn't a clinical finisher, but he ran his socks off. He was closing down no end, which is exactly what cost him the red card. So I would have had him 8, argued up there with man of the match up until the sending off. But sorry, Anthony, that you then put us right under the cosh. And so as a consequence, I'm halving that score to 4.
Fair enough. Again, playing not in a natural position for Anthony Gordon, even though, he's saying the more time he's playing there, the more natural it feels. He doesn't look like a natural striker, and I think that is quite evident now. And again, it's not something that you can coach into players.
Jody Dans, I give AJ a 9. 8 for his performance and an extra point for forcing Newcastle to buy an actual bloody striker. Nice one, Jody.
I love it. Yeah, well done. What a tactic that was. Again, undone by his enthusiasm and relentless need to press the ball. And again, it's his hunger, if you like, that's really created this hole. And we saw it with Brighton when he gets the silly red card. Again, it's just that mental switch in his brain that, unfortunately, again, no need to the challenge. You close the space.
Likes, man.
Yeah, exactly. Again, before the red, I gave him. He was on a 7 in the first 45 minutes. He got some really nice touches. Played better than he did at Villa. Again, you could see pockets of space running in between the 2 centre halves. Gets a header at goal, which unfortunately he can't keep down. again, it's all about height and timing, the jump. So he was on a 7, but then obviously he gets the sending off. So again, and it was just, there's no malice in it. I can see pulling away, but there was no need for it. So again, has that lost us the game? Well, potentially yes.
Yeah.
But no change, from the Isak situation. And I can't just say, that has disrupted our game because, like I said, before the setting off, we didn't look like scoring. So I'm going to give him a 5 because of his work in that first 45 minutes. And I'm not going to entirely blame him for that loss of game because at the end of the day, he is only a makeshift centre forward and reliant on pace to break lines and unhinged defences. So, again, I don't want to be too harsh. He's not the one pouring himself forward. It's the coach who's pouring him there because of what he's done in a tournament previously.
For the under-21.
For the under-21s, yeah. And like I say, he's not proved anything from that. And again, Eddie Howe's hands are a little bit tied because we haven't got a replacement for Wilson. And now, obviously, missing out on Isak. And again, nobody can change my mind on the situation. If Isak was in the team at Villa, if Isak was in the team against Liverpool yesterday, the results would have been different. Going on to the substitutions, Lewis Miley.
7 for me. Again, as I've said, he did a workmanlike job. Didn't lose. I'm not. Let's just have a look at the stats. Did he lose He lost the ball once, obviously, when he kicked it into touch. But I'm not sure what else he did. That's it. Accurate passes 4 out of 7, worse than I thought, and none out of 2 long balls. So maybe he didn't do as well as I thought. I could only remember the one really bad ball that he played. And he should have definitely shot, but he was part of the fight back. So I'm not gonna. I'm giving him a 7. He wasn't as bad as Barnes, or he was no worse than Alanga.
No.
So
okay,
I'm gonna give him a 7.
I mean, I've gave him a 7. Again, I found like he took up some good positions, as usual. He was tidy in possession. Couple of, again, this is where maturity comes. Decision making at times seems as though he puts us under a bit of pressure at times because even though he's comfortable with the ball, playing the ball back to Pope in a tight situation sometimes may not have been the right decision. But again, that'll be something that he learns at time as he grows within the club. And again, I often find, since his continuity has changed within the 11, as we saw, a couple of seasons ago with all the injuries where he was only having bit parts last season. I think he's playing within himself a little bit now at times. He doesn't seem to be that enthusiastic player that's free, that wants to link up play moving forward. So just have a quick look at that super chat win, because obviously we don't want to go too further forward because Tony T sent the super chat.
Tony T. I found an extra £2. Enjoy your 3p each. Cheers, Tony T. Funny lad.
Yeah, thanks, Tony. So I gave Miley 7, but like I say, I think he just needs time now, and maybe with the 2 lads going to be potentially missing for a few weeks.
He's going to get a bit more time.
He's going to get a bit more time to shine a little bit. Going on to our next one in midfield, that obviously will have more time than he probably imagined being this early into the squad. Jacob Ramsey. What do you think of his?
I was impressed with Ramsey, I've got to say. I thought he did better than Miley, so I'm giving him a higher score. So I'm giving Ramsey an 8. He only had, he ended up having 25 minutes as it happens. But I thought he showed proper signs of, he picked the ball up twice and you know, took it forward, and his pass was good. I don't know what his stats are. Let's have a look. This is going to make a liar out of us again. Oh no, accurate passes 8 out of 9,
Yeah. He was tidy.
and 100% on ground duels. Lost possession once. Well, that's 8 out of 9, obviously. Yeah, very tidy. Looked accomplished. More to come, I hope. We'll find out on Saturday.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I thought it was an encouraging cameo performance, to be fair. Again, coming into that cauldron last night, it was hot. It was, you know, it was literally having to give that extra 5% as well. The pressure's on you to, you know, to perform at home in front of that crowd. A lot of pressure on the lad. And like I said, for me, looked very up to the task, made some very intelligent runs. I also saw him literally on the edge of our own penalty area doing the recovery stuff to support the lads that had worked the socks off for the entirety. So very encouragement, very good encouragement for me to see him on the park. And again, you know, new to the club, but I saw some nice link-up play as well with Lewis Hall down that left-hand side when he was playing on the inside left, moving outside. Some nice little movement there. So, again, very encouraging. But I can't give him any higher than 7 because I've given Miley a 7 because they both play a different role and they both did the role that they were tasked to do when they come on the field. But both, you know, Miley did that defensive role. Ramsey did more of the attacking-minded role to fill the void. So, again, I'll give him a 7. Very good, very assured.
Yep.
Lewis Hall.
Again, 7. You know, I don't think he did he lose the ball at all? I don't think he did.
No, I don't think so either. I can't remember one.
1 out of 1 ground duel, 2 clearances, 2 interceptions, 1 out of 1 tackle won, 3 out of 5 accurate passes. Well, one of those was just literally when he was just clearing and getting rid, which he should have. By the way, there were still in the first half at least 3 occasions when I was when I was hearing Roy in the bar in Qatar saying, "Hoof the twat." And we insisted on fannying around and getting into trouble. Just get your foot through the ball and get rid of it, for God's sake, man.
Yeah.
You know,
Just it is amazing when you look at it. Here we go. We've got a couple coming in now.
Oh, the Mighty Win MILF Magician Official Fan Club. I see Philly Josh works for Newcastle Fans TV now.
All right.
Did he demand £300 a week and force a move? £300,000 a week and force a move?
Yeah, he threw his toys. I didn't even know he had. I haven't spoken to Philly for a long time, to be fair. No. But fair play to him.
Yeah,
He's found a new niche. He'll always be welcome. Yeah, he'll always be welcome if he wants to come on, have any say. So going on to what Lewis Hall, like I said, assured in defence. Again, set piece delivery was particularly good. A good highlight in that. But again, you know, he's going to need to start. And I think against Leeds, we are going to need a little bit more legs. So I think he'll start against Leeds. I think Tino will go back to his right back. And I think Trips will be rested, yeah. And again, because he didn't have a great game either. And I'm not saying that, again, the defeat was purely his fault. But I just think we'll need legs. Going on to Asula.
Asula, I am giving...
Oh, I gave Hall a 7, by the way.
Yeah, I gave Hall a 7 as well. But I'm giving Will an 8. And again, I'm doing a sofa score, not just particularly because everything he did was fantastic, but he got the goal. He got that equaliser. And honest to God, the place just erupted when that went in. So for making my night, for 2 minutes at least. I'm
Yeah.
gonna give Will an 8.
Got you. Again,
Emotion more than sense. given
yeah.
that.
No, well, listen. You've got to say you credit where credit's due, if you like. I mean, I'm going to give him a 7, because again, there was times where he could have done the job a little bit simpler, but again, he tries to play the ball through players rather than around them, and use his pace and his again sense of spatial awareness sometimes lets him down. And I think he could have had a simpler job to do if he played the correct ball at times. But he's endeavoured to get that goal. There was every chance of him to get hurt. So he showed great strength to get into that position. Again, great desire to get his foot there and take the hit, and lots of courage, to take the smack as well from Alisson. So yeah, I'm going to give him a 7. And like I say, he was the one who, if you like, I thought when he come on to go and play up top, that allowed us to take the pressure off the back line a little bit, because the game could have changed just before that substitution, where we were getting more and more tired, but because then we were allowed, if you like, just to play that ball over the top, knowing we got a bit of pace up top there. Because we'd seen the fact that Elanga had gone, like I say, his legs had completely gone. When he made that final run when he got the corner, right, I think it was something like in the 89th, 90th minute. He was literally, he's got his hands on his knees, Elanga, and he was absolutely knackered. So to ask him to keep going over the top.
And by the way, to go back to Gordon, there was one point in the first half, obviously before he was sent off, that Gordon, he'd just done a good lung busting run into Liverpool's box, and they recovered the ball, got it out, and he then ran literally the full length of the pitch to make a defensive contribution.
Yeah.
And so he'd ran kind of in total about 150 yards in no time flat. And when the ball eventually went for a goal kick, and he was knackered.
Yeah.
Totally, utterly knackered.
Yeah, crazy. It's a strange one for me, because, like I say, he did everything right, but I think there's, like I say, a little bit of inexperience, because, like I say, where you want, and I go back to the Callum Wilson in the cup final, if you like, where he'd run the ball into a corner. I think sometimes, when you've got players that want to go and get that, you've tasted the goal and what it gives you. You've felt the energy from the crowd. Being a young kid, like I say, young kid, he's not a young kid anymore, but being a fledgling to the Premier League, if you like, he wants to give a little bit more. He wants that delivery. So again, it's the train tracks, and I think he needs that experience of when to go and when just to hold the ball up and relieve the pressure from the lads. Give them a breather as well, and to keep playing at 100 miles an hour, which is like Asula's mentality. You know what I mean? He doesn't know what he's going to do with his feet at the best of times. So to experience that would I think he could have done a bit better. So again, even though he got the goal, I'm going to give him a 7.
But maybe that's just what he needs. Who knows? We haven't got Gordon on Saturday, so are we going to give Asula a chance from a very good comment before, by the way, from who was it? I started. There it is. Irish Assassin saying, I would love to have seen Park in the squad yesterday. Arnie had trust in a 16-year-old, and fair play to him on that. Eddie needs to show some trust and gamble like Slot now and then.
I totally agree with that as well.
Which is a perfectly valid point, because he might well have.
Well, you can imagine, like I say, somebody, Mr. Snake Hips, as I call him now, Sue Park, he's very much that, that dynamic type of player. Very quick feet, again, a fullback that isn't a natural fullback with Szoboszlai. Good player, but could he have unlocked a couple of doors? Then potentially, yes. And it's a shame that like I said, I've always said age is just a number. If you're good enough, you're old enough. You still need to take care of them, and you need to manage them well. But again, we've seen it with the likes of Arsenal now.
Max Dowman,
yeah, Max Dowman looks I'm so glad that these are young Englishmen.
But here's the thing, on the subject of teenage prodigies and things. What's happened at Man United to what's his face who played for England, man?
Mainu.
Yeah. Yes, Mainu. Because he's just disappeared, hasn't he?
It looks like again,
go to the Man United graveyard.
Yeah, that's what I said. You look at a manager, a coach who is going to be able to set up a system that supports his way, his tactic, and it looks very much like Mainu just doesn't fit that mold. And again, Mainu's very much a Miley stroke player. He's one of these players that's not going to break lines very often. He's going to sit in them little pockets of space, give the ball simple. He's not an electric player. He's not one of them players that gets the crowd on the feet type of thing. So again, you've got to ask yourself if Amrim doesn't see him in that limelight, then is he going to be a next one that just gets pushed further and further away? He needs a loan move. He needs to be gone somewhere else, to be fair. So going on to the final member of the substitution team, nice to see him on the field.
Yeah.
I must admit, which is Malik Chow. What was your thoughts on him?
His first involvement didn't set the confidence juice going, but thereafter he did what was required, kind of thing, except that the third goal.
Yeah, crazy. I am. I'm not gonna give this lad a mark, right? If I'm honest, because again, you look at the time he was on the field of play. If I was going to mark him, it wouldn't be very positive, right?
No,
and I'm going to say that with a little bit of, and I'm going to try and explain my reasons. There was a moment where the ball came over the top, and he was undecisive of whether to head the ball, control the ball, and what happened was the ball just bounced off him. And luckily, you'd got, I think it was Bruno that had dropped into the hole that managed to pick up the ball, because if that had gone to a Liverpool player, it was virtually 3-on-3 at the back.
And that was his first involvement of him.
And that was I think it was, yeah. So again, it looks again.
It was a baptism of fire.
Yeah, exactly. So nerves, home debut, atmosphere against Liverpool. There's a number of contributors to that. But, this lad has been again, hyped up to be a good player, a technical, gifted player, comfortable with his feet. Didn't look very comfortable when he first graced the field of play. So, again, there's a couple of things. I mean, as he got into the game, I saw there was some really good touches. He looked composed a little bit. But again, he was bailed out by Dan Burn a couple of times. And again, going back to yesterday's live show, was he out of position? You've got to ask yourself, Dan Burn going out, that 13 move pass from Liverpool that we couldn't get control of the ball, committing a lot of players forward, couldn't get back. Again, it's about keeping your head, your momentum, and not being, when a player goes out wide, where's the danger? The danger is always going to be behind you. So it's a case of having that nuance to look, use your eyes, and play that. I had this thing about marking the half space and being in control and distance. By the time the ball gets there, can I close? And that was what Tino should have done. Make a decision instead of going to the players, Szoboszlai, mark the half space, because then. Do a Fabian Shaw. If Szoboszlai takes a touch have I got a chance then to close that space? Even if I can't get touched tight, can I at least get in to try and block the shot type of thing? And hoping Popey then marks the post. So there was a number of concerns. And I know that's easy for me to say because during the heat of the moment, during the passion of the game, you do go into these little mindsets, these mind pockets where you see something and you focus entirely on that. So I don't want to give him, like I say, too much criticism, but there was far too much to observe in his first gracing of the hallowed turf that wasn't positive, and I'm hoping to see a lot more and a lot better. So again, I'm not gonna mark him because I think it's unjust.
Okay.
And that is it. We are done.
Well, we've got Eddie Howe, of course.
What have we got of Eddie Howe?
Why have we got to have Eddie Howe?
What I say? What have we got of Eddie Howe? The video that I've already put on.
We've got to give him a mark.
Oh Christ! Yeah, go on then. Shit, I was lost then for a minute. I again have nothing but praise for what we saw yesterday. A very difficult situation that Eddie Howe finds himself in, and I think he's managing it very, very well, and he's keeping the lads on their toes, and he's keeping them together. And I think that, again, we talk about leadership groups and everything else. You have to cast the net a little bit to try and get the best out of the players on the park.
If you're telling me that anybody could have got more out of the players on the park than Eddie got yesterday, then I struggle to
name one.
To name one.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, you can argue, of course, that having got all of that out of them and having got back to 2-2, could he have been more pragmatic? I tell you one thing that I was particularly disappointed with, even though it appeared to be Tenali's decision. I would have had him straight off when he went down. He was obviously in agony, and then even if he was insisting on continuing, I think I would have still had him off. So, I'm going to dock him points for that. But overall, I thought that performance yesterday was just absolutely magnificent. And in fact, I've got a couple of comments.
I was just going to finish off. See, on 95 minutes, I was struggling to give him less than an 8. But then when I analyse the game afterwards, like I said, your emotion runs riot when you've watched the game. Everything happens, and then things go against you. And afterwards, I thought the only thing that I could actually criticise Eddie Howe on was substitutions. I think there was, again, that delay, 75 minutes before we really see anything happen. 4 substitutions are totally different. But again, we go back to the negativity that we've had in previous shows where, have we got a bench now that can change a game? Have we got somebody that can, make something happen? And it looks like we have. It looks like we've got players now that come onto the field and actually change the direction of the game. And I like the energy from that. But again, my criticism towards Eddie, why wait for so long when you've been, running your legs off for so long?
Again, though, except that, we were still dominant.
Yeah, but what I'm saying to you is you've got Harvey Barnes that is still on that park that has actually contributed nothing. What I'm saying to you is, why make a positive? You're on top with 10 players, make a positive action and say, get Ramsey on. Yes, it's a big ask for a young lad to come on, but that's what I said. This is where you make or break a game. And I think, unfortunately for me, he was out the game far too much for me, Harvey Barnes. And like I said to Chris during the watch along, you could give him the excuse that if you look at everybody else on that park, who's got the shot on him? Harvey Barnes.
Yeah.
So is he keeping Harvey Barnes on just to get a shot off? And he never did. You know what I mean? So it's like a case of sometimes, I understand it. You're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. But for me, that's why I marked him down to a 7, only because of the delayed tactic. When you're on top, you've got to gamble, and you've got to take your weaker ones out of the team, and you've got to say, we're on top now, but we need something from that game while you're on top. And I just didn't think he showed enough to do that. So 7 for me, but overall exceptional.
Yeah, well, I'm giving him an 8 still, just for the whole.
Well, you've got his shirt. You've got his shirt.
For the whole emotional occasion.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
Just
fantastic.
Absolutely sensational. Couple of comments here. I think the whole Isak, this is obviously Liverpool supporter, I think the whole Isak situation stirred this performance from you guys, made the game extra difficult for us. So I'm not looking at our performance so much as just happy with the 3 points. Geordie Dan, the counter-argument. Liverpool scraping a win against a strikerless 10-men Nufc. I couldn't be more proud of the lads. True passion. Bring on 31st of January. That's obviously the return. And the old quote, we don't demand a team that wins, we demand a team that tries. And that was epitomised yesterday. Yeah. Absolutely.
I think it was that is one of my backdrops for future shows. The banner that was hung over the car park. I don't always want to win, but I want a team that tries.
Right.
Absolutely fantastic. Well, that's it, guys. If I can ask you very kindly, if you haven't already, smash the like, subscribe, do everything. Hit the bell. Like I say, we're on again tonight. I believe the show's 9 o'clock.
9 o'clock, yeah. It's been on, off, in, out, check it all about.
Chris and Win aren't with us because they've both got they've got rendezvous elsewhere. So it's going to be me and a few of the lads in the panel. I think Andy Bell, Jeff Out from the 90s Mags is coming on.
And Borky's
on with us tonight.
I told Borky was in. And then when Chris said it was, I told him it was off.
No.
Well, I'm sure Borky will be.
Yeah, Bulky will be in. So yeah, you come and join me later on 9 o'clock for any more up to date news. And again, get other people's opinions on last night's game. But apart from that, thank you so much for watching, supporting us again for nearly 2.5 hours. Crikey, I didn't realise it was that long. And we've had some great views in. We've had some great stuff in the chat. Lots of banter, as always, from all and sundry. But I suppose before we go, we better show and thank the people that have gifted. Irish Assassin, thank you so much. Tony Ross for the membership. World of Woodcraft, who's now become a member. Please try and continue your membership if you can. Just help us out. Tony T, a couple of times. And the mighty MILF Magician official fan club. Well, that one's come out again. Thank you so much for all your kind gifts. And again, thank you to everybody that stayed with us for 2.5 hours. It's been a pleasure talking to you this Tuesday afternoon after a cracking game of football.
Was a fantastic game of football, result notwithstanding.
Exactly. And again, thank you one and all the mods in the background for helping us again, keeping the chat civil. And again, carry on with the banter, but like I say, keep it friendly. But until 9 o'clock tonight, I'll see you then. It's a goodbye from him.
It's a goodbye from him. How are the lads?
Lassies and bairns. See you on the next one.
Ciao, ciao.